Bay, Tampa Bay sway. Being in the trenches, where the big dogs play. Talk about the Bucs, tales from the block. Glory days, battle scars, never gonna stop. Mic in his hand and his words hit hard. Former Buck, now got a radio card. Breaking down plays,
Hello everybody and welcome back to In the Trenches. Victory Mondays, been 50-50 this year, but that's all you need to make the playoffs in the South. The Buccaneers get it done. I don't know if people realize this, but every week the NFL changes, all right? And, you know, I'm on Instagram. That's probably what I do the most, Ian_Beckles, if you want to follow me. And I had somebody curse me out on Instagram. You didn't say this 4 weeks ago. Let's say go 5 weeks ago, okay, when the Bucs have won 4 out of the last 5 games. Would you bet your house 5 weeks ago this Buccaneer team was going to make the playoffs? I'm not sure I would, all right? Baker Mayfield at that time was playing up and down. Now Baker Mayfield is playing as well as anybody else out there. Now, if you investigate this Buccaneer team, yesterday they were fantastic, okay? I mean, you beat a Carolina team at home you're supposed to beat. That's all good, okay? Then they had a stinker in Dallas. That happens sometimes. Everybody has stinkers. There were so many stinkers this Sunday. It was stinkers last Sunday. Every week people have stinkers, okay? They had a gem against the Chargers. And I think they won the previous 3 games. This is a good football team. This is a good football team that can beat anybody, but doesn't show up at times as well. So that's what we have, people. Look at the NFC. Look at the NFL. Can the Buccaneers go to Kansas City and beat Kansas City? I don't think anybody thinks that, or Buffalo, but would you say that they can't go to Detroit and beat them? They already beat them. They can't beat Philadelphia. They already beat them. Who the hell else is there? Minnesota? I don't know if I'm convinced of Minnesota. They're a good football team. All I'm saying is the Buccaneers look like they're going to figure it out. They're going to get in, and all you got to do, everybody says it's all about just getting into the dance, and it looks like they're going to get into the dance, all right? So, looking at that game yesterday, probably the second best game I've seen them play other than the Chargers a few weeks ago. I thought Liam Cohen did a fabulous job calling plays, all right? But let me say this about Liam Cohen. I'm also going to say this about Dave Canales. And I don't know who the coach is over there. I don't know who the offense coordinator is in Minnesota, okay? But I promise you this. The offensive coordinator in Minnesota is getting more love than he should get. That happens every year in the NFL. I can't believe how much love Dave Canales and Liam Cohen are getting from a quarterback that's playing his ass off. Literally. Sam Darnold's playing his ass off in Minnesota. Baker Mayfield's playing his ass off here in Tampa. A lot of the stuff that Baker does is not coachable stuff. So for people, for me to hear people say, well, we have to make sure Liam Cohen doesn't leave. We'll bring in somebody else and they'll shine as long as Baker Mayfield keeps on doing what he's doing. I think coordinators get too much love. They get too much credit, all right? Baker Mayfield wasn't good at the beginning of his career because he didn't understand the game of football. He was young. Now he's older. He can read defenses. He doesn't make as many dumb mistakes, and that's what it's about. It drives me nuts when I'm hearing people, it's all about Liam Cohen, it's all about Dave Canales. The quarterback has a lot to do with that. Now, that being said, I thought Liam Cohen called a wonderful, wonderful game. There was some news before the game. Shaq Barrett re-signed to the practice squad. Always been a Shaq Barrett fan of the way he plays, the way he conducts himself off the field. Been through a lot of stuff, and I'm just happy to see Shaq Barrett back and doing what he loves to do. Because I know sitting out for football that little bit of time had to be killing him. That is for sure. This was so funny about this game. I saw a meme on Instagram, and they showed 2 quarterbacks that were part of the Carolina Panthers a couple years ago. And those 2 quarterbacks being Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. So if you're a Carolina Panther and you've won 2 or 3 games this year and you're watching Baker Mayfield go off in Tampa and you're watching Sam Darnold go ballistic in Minnesota, you probably feel as good as a Giants fan as to watch Saquon Barkley every week. Yeah, there's one right there. It's the first time I heard from a Giants fan all year. But they figured out a way to win yesterday, which was smart. You didn't get the first pick, now you get the 4th pick. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, congratulations. So watching that game yesterday, I wasn't at the game. Supposedly there was a duck sighting. I don't mean Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving is now the starter, it looks like. You've been asking for it all year. Obviously, he's healthy enough to get in there. He had 25 touches. Listen, it's getting towards the end of the year. You can't really worry about somebody's health towards the end of the year because there ain't nothing to worry about. It's about to come to an end. So they're not worried about him making it through this season anymore. That's done. In the 5th week of the season, I don't know if you want Bucky to be toting it 25 times. It's toward the end of the season, and Bucky's going to probably get a little bit more. Towards the beginning of the game, Kate Otten being out. Kate Otten's been a roller coaster this year. I got to a point where I was like, listen, you can't win with Kate Otten. Then I got to a point where damn, Kate Otten's one of the better cats. Then he disappeared, now he's out. So the Buccaneers put in this big old dude, Payne Durham. Played really well. I was going to give him a lot of love, and then I found out he went to Purdue, and I'm rescinding the love. I can't show love to somebody from Purdue. I can't do it. Not even Mike Allstott. If you went to Purdue, boo-boo on you. I went to IU, obviously. But no, listen, everything, seriously, Durham's playing his ass off. The Buccaneers are figuring out a way to piece people in. McMillan turning into a number 2. Those are all big things going into next year now. Now, let's talk about Mike Evans. I'm not sure I've done it in the trenches ever without really gassing up Mike Evans. I'm not sure if I ever have. Mike Evans makes NFL defensive backs look like housewives. I don't know who was trying to card Mike Evans yesterday on the goal line. I was like, damn, that sucks. You have no chance. You have 0 chance. Mayfield looked over, you're 1-on-1, you have no help. Inside or outside, you have no chance. The first touchdown, he used that guy, went inside, used his body, caught it. Second touchdown, he Baker threw the ball. Mike just, while I was in here, he goes, I'm going to catch this, right? Pushed off a little bit, catches the ball, touchdown, spikes the ball, it's all over. We are blessed to get a chance to watch Mike Evans throughout his whole career. I think we're going to find out later on when he's gone, and it ain't yet, how blessed we really were to watch Mike through this whole thing. I don't remember Mike missing any football. I know he has. He missed a little bit this year, but he doesn't miss much football. And I respect that wholeheartedly because when people ask me what's the hardest thing in the NFL, my answer is staying healthy. A lot of people can play, but can you stay healthy? And Mike Evans has figured out a way to stay healthy enough. Now, let's go back to Bucky Irving. You've heard me talk about Bucky throughout the years and throughout this year, and I've told you don't get too excited. And I'm still with that narrative because I just don't get excited over running backs. That being said, he's a special little kid now. He does special things. He's slippery, okay, and shifty. Sometimes you see guys that are slippery. Sometimes you see guys who are shifty. He's both. I see some Le'Veon Bell in him. Le'Veon Bell, just that patient, and he's getting more patient as he's learning the game a little bit more. 20 totes, I think, 119 yards, something like that. I like the kid. But once again, he's 5'9", 185. It's not conducive to a long career. But while he's here, we're gonna enjoy him, that is for sure. Baker Mayfield came off a few games where you're like, well, Baker's good, but he's had a few games here lately where, and I'm not talking about fantasy football, and I think fantasy football is the worst thing for people's perception of the way quarterbacks play. People think a quarterback played well if he rushes for 50 yards and throws 2 touchdowns. What if you lost 50-14? This is not fantasy football. But what you see out there with Baker Mayfield, that's not fantasy football. Baker Mayfield is playing his ass off, okay? No doubt about that. He looks healthy. He's making the right decisions. And I think all those things are important. And the leadership, qualities, I don't think we have to go over those. We've gone over them plenty. The Buccaneers are figuring out, when I see teams developing, you like to look at the future. And when I'm seeing players like this Culp, the tight end, number 82, that I'd never heard of before, rookie, big old kid, catching a couple balls out there, doing his thing. I like to see stuff like that because, going into next year, I guarantee you're going to hear a Culp's name again. I guarantee it. And to me, one of the more important things of every football game, and everybody knows the name of this podcast is In the Trenches, is the line of scrimmage, and the Buccaneers dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And when you do that, you win all the games. We protected better, we rushed better, and we were just better up front. and you can live and die with the trenches forever, all right? And I'm talking about both sides of the ball, all right? And I love to see that personally. Now, defensively, it started off a little bit shaky, and there's times where the Bucs defense can look shaky, especially in their coverage, all right? Thielen gave us fits yesterday. But when you give up 14 points, you don't want to trip on a defense. Thielen got after us a little bit. But, it was a couple plays earlier. It was a zone between Edwards and Dean. And there's been too many times this year when we have had mishaps. It's more broken coverages than I see guys getting burned. And I think that's good. If you see just guys can't do it and they're just getting burned, sometimes that's hard to stomach. But when you see broken coverages, and that's mental. And you could always improve your mental. Now I'm gonna give a little thumbs up love to JTS. Who is that? That's Joe Schranka. Those of you that don't know who he is, because we don't hear his name very often. Blocked the punt yesterday. Got around the duck. Blocked the punt yesterday. JTS with the big block, special teams player. First rounders are not supposed to be special teams players in their fifth year. Last time I checked. And so before I gave him this love, I did go to his statistics, and he has 24 tackles. He has 24 tackles in 16 games. Do I have to repeat that again? That's total tackles in 16. He has 24 tackles. You remember Derek Brooks? I swear to you, go back and watch Derek Brooks against the Rams. I don't know what year it was, late in his career. I think he had 24 tackles. He had over 20 tackles, that's for sure. So, I love you making plays on special teams, JTS, but that's not what we're paying you for. 24 tackles I can do that. I can do that. I'm old as hell, okay? And that's real. But I'm not here to bitch and moan about anything about this Buccaneer team. I enjoyed yesterday. I really enjoyed this season in general. It's not over yet. And they've gotten themselves to a point where it's up to you. And I think this Buccaneer team has enough leadership in the locker room. I think it has enough leadership up top in the front office to get this done. All you got to do is beat the Saints. You're in. You don't want to mess around. Now, that being said, that sounds easy, doesn't it? Okay, look around the NFL. There's going to be 5 games every week that make you scratch your head. Okay, and I love this from the media. I hear it all the time from the media. Well, this team's going to win because they have to win. Does anybody think that having to win makes it easier? It just puts more pressure on you. It's either you're a good team or you're not. I just think the Bucs are a better football team than the Saints. And I've watched the Saints here as of late, and they're up and down, but sometimes they look like their bags are packed already. So I think the Buccaneers go into this like a playoff game mentality-wise. You got to go into it as a playoff game. Take care of your business. I'm not even going to say if they lose, because I don't care. They're going to win the game. If they lose, I don't want to hear the Falcons lost and then we snuck into the playoffs, because that's just not the way to do it. So to me, I don't care about the Falcons. I care about the Buccaneers. And I think the Buccaneers are good enough to beat the Saints and go on to the playoffs, and then whatever happens, happens. And listen, you get a home game. You get a home. The Bucs haven't played great at home, but you got to feel good having a home game, because 5 weeks ago, I wouldn't have bet your house this Buccaneer team would have made the playoffs, but here they are in a situation where they could win the playoffs, get in the playoffs, and crazy things happen. Crazy teams go to the Super Bowl at times. This is a weird year. They're all weird. I can say it's a weird year. It might end up being, Kansas City and Minnesota. We don't know. Although nobody had Minnesota at the beginning of the year. But listen, this is the NFL football. This is what we die for. It's coming towards the end of the year. There's football Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and every day. So enjoy it, okay? And that college football thing going on right now, one day I'm going to sit down and talk about, NIL, because college football doesn't exist anymore. It's pro football now. Because you know what you don't care about? Is the Pop-Tart Bowl. You couldn't give a rat's ass about a goddamn Pop-Tart Bowl. Okay, so football's changing, everybody. Like, bowl games don't mean nothing. You watch these bowl games, if I'm an NCAA player and I'm making $200,000 a year, which is a lot of them are making, and I'm making it to the NFL, and I'm playing a bowl in 3 weeks, and I'm the same guy that said I would never back out of my team. I would never. Today's athlete, they're not playing. They're not playing. They're lawyered up. They have people taking care of their money, and it's bad business. So I just think that college football is going away. Okay, let them make their money. They had to put more parameters around the NIL. They didn't put any parameters around it, and it is a wild, wild west. It's good for the players who are getting the money. I don't know if it's good for the product because, boy, we're really developing some selfish bastards, okay? And I don't blame them. Because if I'm on Alabama's team and I'm the cornerback and somebody from Oregon calls me and says, we're going to give you twice as much money, you know what the American way is? Go get your damn money. That's the American way, and that's the way everybody's been taught. I'm not gonna hate them for it. I just think it's gonna ruin the sport. Anyways, if anybody wants to hit me up, I'm always here at the Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. I've been sitting in for the great Mike Calta, was yesterday and today, so I'll be, and then tomorrow we'll be as well with the great Dizzy and JoJo, so tune into 102.5 The Bone. I also want to show love to the great Jack Gordon, who was on the show today, on the Mike Calta show, and Manny and Gordon is the way to go. He's a very eloquent young man, and like I say, he's the most vascular lawyer in the country, so check him out. But I appreciate everybody listening every single week. I guess on a podcast, you're supposed to say hit a like. I don't know, either way. Hit a like it and follow us and all that things like that. And you can follow me on Instagram, Ian_Beckles. Everybody have a wonderful week, and let's hope next week we're talking playoffs.
Back in the day, Tampa Bay sway, being in the trenches where the big dogs play. Talk about the Bucs, tales from the block, glory days, battle scars, never gonna stop. Mic in his hand and his words hit hard. Former Buck.
You know, some law firms, they try to sell you on how big they are. But wouldn't you prefer to know how qualified and experienced and credentialed their lawyers are?
Call Manny and Gordon or visit us at fightnegligence.com.